Good morning, everyone from Almaty. Today is 5th June, and we are starting another beautiful day here. Yesterday, as you know, we went on our Lakes and Canyon day trip, and what a day it was! Honestly, I thought I'd be back home around 10 pm, but to my surprise, we were dropped off near our Airbnb by 9:30 pm. And if you haven't seen all that episode yet, do check it out. My last two episodes, where I have shared the stunning canyons and the lakes of Almaty, it was absolutely breathtaking and such an amazing experience. Now, coming to today, I actually kept the plan light and random because I thought we would be too tired to wake up early. So, the idea today was to wake up leisurely, do some cooking, and then head out to explore the city. And surprisingly, though, we are feeling fresh and well rested even after walking 14 kilometers yesterday. There's no body pain. We are good on energy. We woke up at 6:45 a.m., which was pretty good. And right now, I'm enjoying my morning tea. Brought this from India. And it's such a bright, beautiful morning. We will start with some breakfast. We will do some cooking, and let me show you what we are cooking. If you remember from episode 2, we went out to Green Bazaar and brought some chicken. That day we marinated it with yogurt and spices, and it has been resting in the fridge since then. Yesterday we didn't get time to cook. Obviously, we were out the entire day. So today the first agenda is chicken curry. And maybe then, if time permits, we will do a quick egg curry too. So I've got some massive garlic cloves over here. Seriously, each one is almost the size of my palm. This is like a humongous garlic that I have, and peeling them is a task in itself. So I'm just struggling with this garlic. I tried to do it with my fingers, but it was so tightly packed I could not. So now I'm taking the help of a knife and trying to just, nudge them open. And just look at the size of these garlic cloves. They are so big. So I'm going to show you how we will cook this chicken with very limited resources and, saving some time and yet making it delicious. But if you are not interested in the cooking part, please feel free to jump to the next part or the next chapter where you can see us exploring the city. The chapters are mentioned in the description. But if you're really interested in knowing how we cook this chicken, then stick around. Now we are trying to cook this chicken without any kind of a fancy tool like a mixer and all, with very limited resources, and it will still taste delicious, as I said. So it will be pure home style cooking, and just keep following on. I'm sure it is going to be helpful if you are also planning to cook chicken in your Airbnbs. The garlic is done, and now I am peeling some potatoes because, of course, chicken curry without potatoes, for us Bengalis, it's like unimaginable sin. So yes, potatoes are going in, and if you don't like potatoes, then you can just simply skip it. But we love our potatoes soft and delicious in the chicken curry. So now we have started cooking in this big bottomed pot. First I have added some white oil, and once that is heated up, I have tempered it with some whole garam masala, that's cardamom, cloves, cinnamon, and also a bay leaf. And next went in the sliced onions. Now this part needs a little patience. You have to keep stirring so that they don't burn. We will fry them till they turn kind of light brown, slightly translucent, and a bit caramelized at the edges. That's when the real flavor starts to build. It will take a few minutes, but once this step is done, the hard work is mostly over. After that, we will just add the chicken and let it cook slowly on its own. Earlier, I had grated some ginger also along with the garlic we peeled, and now I'm adding that in. This is about 1 heaped spoon of fresh ginger garlic paste, which is going straight into the pot. And this is when the aroma really starts to build. I'm now adding the chopped tomatoes, and we will fry this for some time till the tomato turns a little bit mushy. Now I'm adding the potatoes that I had cut earlier. I'll fry them for a couple of minutes before going in with the masala paste. For the paste, I had mixed together jeera powder, dhania powder, turmeric, red chili powder, and a little water. That goes in next, along with some salt for seasoning. And since there's a bit of water from the paste, we will just let it cook until it dries up and the masala is nicely fried. That's when the flavors really come together. Finally, it's time to add the marinated chicken. The chicken is now perfectly marinated, a full day's marination, mind it, unintentionally but beautifully done. We will now fry it on very high flame for about 2 to 3 minutes. just so that it releases some of its own water. And depending on how much liquid comes out, we will decide on how much water to add later. Now I'm adding some chopped red chilies. The ones here in Almaty are really spicy, so I'm starting with just a little. And we can always add more if needed. I'm also adjusting the salt at this stage, giving everything a good stir, and then we will let the chicken cook on medium flame covered so it can cook on its own juices, and we will keep on checking periodically in between and keep stirring so that it does not stick to the bottom. The main hard work is done, and now it's about letting the chicken do its own thing and soak up all the flavors. While the chicken is cooking, I thought I will quickly show you the currency of Kazakhstan because I didn't get a chance earlier. Just look at these notes. There's a 20,000 tenge, 5,000, 2,000, and a 500 tenge note. And aren't they beautiful? The colors are so vibrant and the design feels seamless and really sturdy. Honestly, this had to be the one of the most beautiful currencies I have seen so far. It's really pretty. Now back to the kitchen. Here we are heating some water to boil some eggs, and the chicken is still cooking. I'm going to make a very unconventional egg curry. And honestly, many Bengalis themselves may not know about this style of cooking, but it is super simple, homely, and delicious. The eggs are now boiling, and our chicken is completely done. Look at that beautiful golden color. It's released enough oil, and the aroma is absolutely incredible. I seriously cannot wait to taste it, especially with some hot steaming rice. Now it's time for our egg curry with pumpkins. Yes, you have heard it right, pumpkins. This isn't a very traditional Bengali egg curry, but in our household, we often make curries with vegetables, eggs, or fish. It's light, nutritious, and easy on the tummy without all those heavy masalas. And if you have never tried pairing proteins with vegetables, give it a shot, it really works well. We have cut the pumpkin into small pieces so that it cooks quickly. Pumpkin releases a lot of water, so we'll be keeping the curry light, not too soupy, so the flavors stay balanced. I started by tempering the oil with bay leaf, jeera, and radhuni, which is a Bengali spice. If you don't have radhuni, jeera works just fine. I have added a bit of salt and lightly fried the pumpkins. And then here I am adding a little water, just enough for the two eggs that we will be using. And after that, in goes the turmeric with some chopped red chilies. Again, remember the chilies here in Almaty are very spicy, so we are adding just a small amount right now. Now I will add a little bit of sugar also. Since pumpkin curries are usually made a little sweet in Bengal, so that's why we will be adding some sugar over here. And if you don't like it, you can skip it, but we want to keep it balanced, not too sweet, not too salty. Once the pumpkins are soft, I'll add the boiled eggs directly. I'm not frying it this time, but you can if you like it that way. And finally, we will add some fried and ground jeera powder. So we had fried this jeera and made it into a powder by crushing it. This will add to the robust and aromatic finish. Now, quick stir for a minute or two and it is done. So it might not look like a typical curry, but trust me, it's delicious. And if you don't like pumpkin, any other watery vegetables like ridge gourd will work beautifully too. And with that, our cooking is done. Time to pack up and head out for the city tour now. We are all set and heading out now. As usual, we have to use the key card to punch out, and my mom always struggles with the doors, never knowing which to push or pull. And it has now become a bit of a running joke for us every day. So it's almost 12:45 a.m. right now, and the sun is really bright and strong. An umbrella would have been really handy, but we didn't carry one, so we are going ahead anyway. And we'll book a Yandex cab, but not from inside the building. We'll just walk to the road first, and then from there we will book the cab from the point from which usually the pickup happens. So anyway, it takes about 1 or 2 minutes for any kind of a cab to reach you, so it's not a big deal. And then after coming, the Yandex cab usually waits for about 4 to 5 minutes. If you are not coming, then they will leave probably, but we did not face that anytime, so we don't know what happens after that 4 or 5 minutes of wait. So now we are taking the same route as yesterday. It's bright, sunny day with lot of people on the road, lot of car also on the road. From the experience, we have seen that this particular corner to which we are heading now is the best spot to grab a cab. And across the street, you can see the Grand Voyage Hotel, a handy landmark, which I had already told you that for this particular Airbnb, this is the landmark for anyone who is booking a cab, or if you want to figure out this Airbnb, this is your landmark. And this hotel looks so pretty. And here we are. Now we are waiting for our cab. I have booked it via the Yandex and I'm just seeing where the cab is. It's like 30-second away from us. So the traffic is also pretty orderly. Everyone is patiently following the signals. And we'll just get into our cab in a few moments from now. We are now in the car and we are heading straight to have lunch. One of the things that I absolutely love about Almaty is the incredible variety of food and cultures. This city is like a melting pot of flavors, from traditional Kazakh dishes to Russian, Korean, Uzbek, and even Indian cuisines. No matter where you go, you will find street food stalls, cozy cafes, and high end restaurants offering something very unique. And if you are a non vegetarian, this city is like a heaven. And if you love experimenting with different cuisines, it's a heaven too. I did a lot of research to figure out what I wanted to eat while we were in Almaty because the city has everything from high end restaurants to medium budget spots to cheap street food, and honestly, everything looks and sounds amazing. But to keep our budget under control, we decided to go for some local food today, and we are in the mood of kebabs, especially Turkish style kebabs. So, one name that keeps coming up in the Almaty kebab scene is Degriman. I had first heard about it in a vlogger's video, and what they had ordered looked absolutely delicious. So I was really hooked about this particular restaurant, and that is where we are heading today. And Degriman has multiple outlets across the city, but we wanted to do two things at once, like taste the food and explore a happening area. So we decided to go to Arbat Street outlet, which is basically one of the most happening streets of Almaty. And the reviews were amazing for this outlet, and the dishes looked even better. So I'll leave the location details in the description so that you can check it out. And like yesterday, you saw us tasting the local fare in the Sati village, and day before that, when we went to Green Bazaar, we had one of the cheapest snack food in the Green Bazaar area. Which so basically, we have now had an experience of cheap, street style food. We had the experience of home cooked meals, and today we are, waiting to experience what a proper restaurant meal looks like. So I'm excited. And as always, stepping out into the streets of Almaty is such a pleasure. The air is fresh, everything feels so green and positive, and the city just gives off this amazing vibes. So today we are taking a slightly different route from the one that we took on day one, and we are going towards the Arbat. I can't wait to see what this lively street has in store for us. And finally, we have reached the Arbat Street. I have heard so much about this place, and honestly, if you are visiting Almaty, people say it's almost a cardinal sin if you skip this particular street. So that's how popular it is. And now we have gotten down at the right spot. Arbat Street is just across the zebra crossing. But before we are heading there, I noticed something very interesting, like line of restaurant on this side of the road, and thought, why not check out them quickly? So here you can also see e-scooters lined up, which are super popular in Almaty. They are very convenient. You can just scan your card, ride them for as long as you need, and when you are done, you can literally park them anywhere. No designated stands needed, so it's so hassle free. And look at this beautiful restaurant with this bright yellow canopy. It really caught my eye. There's even a Korean food joint right here, and honestly, these places looked a bit more upscale. So, since we are having a long trip ahead, including hopping over to another country, I'm just trying to be smart with the budget as of now and not blow too much right now at the beginning of our trip. So, after a quick look around, we decided to stick to our original plan and head to Degriman because that's where we know the food is great and the prices are reasonable. Now, we are backtracking and making our way there. Now, here's the thing. I have heard from a lot of folks that when they plan to come to Arbat Street, if they put Arbat Street as a destination in Yandex, sometimes the driver is not very sure where to drop them because this particular stretch has multiple entry points and exit points, and sometimes they even confuse it with Panfilov Street. So both of them are not the same thing. And to avoid this kind of a confusion, what I did was I put the address of Degriman, which I know that it is situated right at the corner, and you can see it also on the corner. That is where we are heading. So I have put that address, and there is no chance that the driver can drop us anywhere else at a wrong place also. And this stretch is the Arbat Street. Okay, and right in the corner is the Degriman, the restaurant where we are heading towards now. And see how vibrant this place is right at this moment also, like usually, and in the evenings you will see a lot of crowd, and this place is like, sparkling with so much of beauty in the evening. But even at this time of the day, you can see that there are many tourists going around. It is still, a little bit empty right now, but that's okay. We will probably get a seat easier that way. Initially, we thought that we will sit in this booth because it was looking nice, but the air conditioning was not that great in this section since it's noon and already quite hot outside. So we were feeling quite hot as well, and we decided to move to a different part of the restaurant where the AC was much better. So it feels much more comfortable in here, and that's just an FYI for you. Now that we are settled, it's time to order. Once the food arrives, I'll show you what exactly we ordered. So our order is placed now, and while the food is getting ready, I thought I would give you a quick look around this place because honestly, the inside of this restaurant is really interesting. And here you can see a variety of desserts and sweet dishes. I can't read all the names since they are in the local language, but I did recognize some, like this gorgeous baklava. Then there are many different kind of custards that I can see, and several different kind of pastries also. So over here there are some cookies, and many of the sweet dishes are generously dusted with pistachios, which looks so tempting. On the other side, there are more sweets. Again, lots of shiny golden baklavas looking absolutely delicious. And then here they have the pizzas and different types of breads, which looks equally amazing. And this section is also pretty interesting. There are different kind of ready to eat meals that you can get by the weight, as I can see. And these are like, you have rice dishes, you have non-veg items, you have veg items. So I think if you don't want to go by the menu, then this is also a good option and might be cheaper too. I'm not sure. And right next to them are all these marinated kebabs, basically the same ones that they serve on the menu. These are lined up and ready to be grilled. So yeah, that's the little tour of the place. Everything is super tempting, right? Our food is here, and honestly it looks amazing and smells even better. Let me show you what we have got. First up, this is the grilled chicken wings platter, priced at about 2800 tenge. It comes with a big naan placed on top, and underneath there is a mountain of chicken wings. Definitely more than enough for one person, so we will be sharing it between two of us. Along with it, there's a fresh salad of beetroot, pickled beetroot, carrots, and grilled vegetables like capsicum and tomato. And then I can see some pulao which has semolina in it, and the aroma is very nice. And then there is some salsa style chutney and creamy white sauce. Everything looks so tempting, and we are super hungry, so we are just going to dive in. The chicken wings were the star of the dish, and honestly I would say the chicken here in Kazakhstan is next level. It's very juicy without any kind of a weird smell, and just so delicious compared to what we usually get in India. And this beautiful flavorful pulao also stood out, and even the pickled beetroot in the salad was surprisingly a good combination. This meal is 10 out of 10, definitely a must try. You might not feel that the food was enough when it was on the plate, but once we have put it on our individual plates, you can see how much that amount is. So it's enough for two people. While we were enjoying our chicken, our second platter also arrived, and this time with grilled lamb skewers. It has the same accompaniments as the chicken platter: naan, salad, salsa, and sauce. But the lamb skewers were not that great. We did not like it. They looked good, but they were not that melt in the mouth tender. In fact, they were quite rubbery, and they had this strong smell that you sometimes get out of a lamb or a mutton, right? And we didn't really enjoy them, especially since we were already full from the chicken. So we decided to pack the lamb and take it back, maybe fry it later with some onions to cut down the smell. Because of the higher price compared to the chicken, plus the chewiness and that strong smell, I would definitely not recommend this dish. Here's the menu. I forgot to show you in the beginning, but this menu is extensive. They have a wide range of dishes Price wise, it is not the cheapest, but platters are ranging somewhere around between 1500 to 3000, 3000 plus. But the portions are generous and definitely good enough for two people. So I would say it is justified. And to finish off, instead of going for the usual Moroccan tea, we ordered their fruit tea. We chose cherry. The color was absolutely stunning. So that is why let's see how the tea is when it comes. Tea is truly at the heart of Kazakh hospitality and daily life. Traditionally, people here enjoy black or green tea, but if you are visiting in summer, you absolutely shouldn't miss their fruit teas, served either hot or cold. Unlike the milk tea we usually have in India, these are made by infusing fresh fruits like berries, apples, and cherries. And the result is naturally sweet, vibrant in color, and full of refreshing flavors. When the pot first arrived, it looked huge, and we wondered how we would ever finish it. But it was so flavorful and light that it was gone before we even realized. And just look at how beautiful ruby red the color is, like liquid ruby being poured into our cups, literally. And we sipped it slowly, savored every drop, and I finally understood why tea is so deeply rooted in Kazakh culture. It's not just a drink, it's a way of slowing down, sharing conversations, and connecting with the people in the Kazakh way. And that's our final bill, 9130 Kazakhstan tenge. After that sumptuous meal, now we will explore the area.
Oi,
Hello.
hey.
How are you?
Yeah, good.
Turkish ice cream?
No.
Where are you from?
India.
Welcome. Where is the city?
Kolkata.
Oh, welcome. Bye bye. Have a nice day. Good luck.
Yeah.
Thank you.
As you just saw, people in Kazakhstan are generally pretty friendly, and they might even start a conversation with you just like that. And this is the Arbat Street, which is one of the most famous and vibrant stretches in Almaty. Often it is compared to European pedestrian streets. It's a lively hub where you will find street performers, artists selling paintings, cozy cafes, souvenir shops, and boutiques all lined up along a broad walking avenue. What makes Arbat so special is its atmosphere. You will see families strolling, young people hanging out, and travelers like us soaking in the local vibe. And it's not just a shopping street, it feels like a cultural melting pot where modern Almaty meets its creative soul. And whether you are here to shop, eat, or just people watch, Arbat Street is like a must visit place. And in the evenings, it gets even more magical with lights, music, and a festive energy that really captures the spirit of this city. And we do plan to come back during the weekends in the evening. So we really love the pecans that we had got from Green Bazaar the other day. And since we were walking around Arbat Street, we noticed a Magnum, which is a big supermarket in here. So we thought, why not check out if we can find the same nuts inside as well. That way we wouldn't have to go all the way back to Green Bazaar just for that. So now we will just try and check out what is there in the Magnum. Now Magnum here is located in the basement. On the way in, you will even pass by an electronics section and a KFC. And once we entered into the supermarket, the first section we stopped by was the fresh bakery. Here we saw some of the fried breads, almost like puris, that reminded us of the piroshki that we had eaten in the Sati village yesterday. And there were so many ready-made food options. Just look at these freshly cooked items that looked really tempting. And if you don't want to cook at your Airbnb, or if you have a microwave in your hotel room, then these are perfect to try it out. Honestly, I wanted to try some, but since we already had food prepared in our Airbnb, we skipped it this time. And you just look at the range of food that is available. Everything looked so fresh. There are salads, noodles, pastas, many Asian or Kazakh dishes as well. And we spotted some boiled eggs, dried, or I think these are fried fish. And then came across another bakery section full of beautiful cakes. After that, there was the raw meat section, followed by the dairy items section, and some of these looked quite unusual. And here's the most important part, we came across horse milk. So if they sold it in smaller packs, I would have tried it out of curiosity, but these bottles were 500 ml or 1 liter, and if we didn't like it, it would just go to waste, so we skipped it. But there's a lot of different kind of milk and milk products available in all of these supermarkets. And next was the vegetable section. Everything looked good, not quite as fresh as Green Bazaar, but it can make do. And then there were fruits too, and just look at the sizes of some of these fruits. So in Almaty, some of the fruits have really amazed me with the sizes. Just look at this pomegranate, and my mom is now holding that pomegranate, and just look how huge that is. I mean, it is fitting in her palm completely. And then there are cherries. We have become a very big fan of Kazakh cherries, but since we already have plenty at home, we didn't buy more. Then we saw this huge pumpkins again. These were also very, very big. And then after that, there's this chocolate section. That was another highlight. They had counters where you could take chocolates by the weight, making your own assorted pack. And there were also packaged chocolates, including Rahat factory chocolates. So if you missed visiting the Rahat chocolate factory, then you can still buy their products here in Magnum. Plus, they stock chocolates from all over the world. We saw Snickers, Mars, and more. And moving along, we came across some interesting cookies stamped with designs. The taste wasn't anything special because we had some of them in our Airbnb, but they do reminded me of the childhood days when such patterned cookies were very common. And then something unique caught my eye, a tumbler full of ice with a straw. It reminded me of all those Korean dramas or K-dramas where people grab these kind of cups, pour in flavored milk or juice and sip straight away. So I haven't seen that in India. So this looked very interesting. And further ahead, there were frozen pizzas, seafood, vegetable, oils, and basically everything you would expect from a large grocery store. Honestly, this Magnum was quite exhaustive, one of the best we have seen so far in Almaty. And now we did not find the pecans that we were looking for, but it was still worth checking out. Coming back onto the Arbat street, the vibe was lively as ever. Even in the bright sun, it was such a nice walk. Clean sidewalks, no potholes, very pedestrian friendly kind of a thing. And it actually makes you fall in love with walking here. We also noticed some of the quirky details on this walking street, like look at this garbage bin. It's shaped like a rocket, and there are many more such unique art installations that I can see all over the street. Maybe they keep changing them occasionally, I don't know. There are also plenty of upscale cafes where you can sit and relax. It looks somewhat like a typical Parisian cafes and a European vibe. And of course, you will spot ice cream and gelato carts everywhere. And I have heard that Almaty's gelatos are really good. So we do plan to try them later when we come back during the evening. One last thing I want to mention about the people in here and the fashion here. Even though Kazakhstan is a Muslim majority country, the dressing style is very relaxed and modern, just like Europe. You will see people in shorts, jeans, skirts. They have colorful hairs. It feels very open and cosmopolitan. And look what we stumbled across. This is a side street meeting the Arbat street, and it turned out to be an art street. All along the path, artists have displayed their artworks, and they are absolutely beautiful. You will see everything from cartoons and portraits to flower paintings and landscapes. Most of them are capturing the local scenery, as I can see, mountains, camels, native animals. And one painting that already caught my eye was of a man holding a falcon. This one is so vibrant and so detailed. I love the colors. So if you are an art lover, this street is like a hidden gem. You can spend hours just, admiring the work, even if you don't plan to buy anything. We didn't ask for the prices since we weren't looking to purchase, but that didn't stop us from enjoying the display. And since we hadn't found the pecans at the Magnum Mall, so we decided to head to Green Bazaar again. And we booked a cab, though figuring out exactly where the cab could pick us up from this side of the street was a bit tricky one, since the car couldn't come inside. This was a narrow lane or a dead end, you can say. And we were a little confused where we can find the main street, but finally we did. And we were soon at the Green Bazaar. So we went straight to the basement stall because last time we have seen the prices were better there. And finally, we found a shop where we got our pecans at a very good rate. It was 4,000 tenge for 500 grams. And it was this shopkeeper who actually told us the name was pecan. Before that, we kept thinking it was some kind of a chocolate flavored walnut kind of a thing. So the mystery was finally solved thanks to this particular shopkeeper. And after finishing up at the bazaar, we still had a little time left in the day. So we thought, why not visit the museum nearby? The only challenge was that it was already close to the closing time, but we decided to try our luck anyway. So we grabbed another cab, and through traffic slowed us down a bit, we finally reached the museum premises. And let me just say this, the gardens outside are gorgeous, like every other park in Almaty. They instantly reminded me of the Mughal gardens in Kashmir. Everything was so well maintained that you could happily sit here for hours and not even want to go inside. The museum building itself looks majestic. It's like a grand castle with tall gates and stunning architecture. It felt regal just walking up to it. And you can see the timings over here, it's mentioned. The museum timing says 9 to 6, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. By now, it was almost close to the closing time. I think we have like 40 or 45 minutes in hand. We'll see whether they allow us in or not. And luckily, they allowed us inside with the condition that we need to be quick. So we started with the basement as they had suggested. And right away, we saw some dinosaur exhibits and prehistoric animals like fossils, artifacts, and displays that took us back in time. Everything was pretty fascinating, and I really wanted to spend more time here because museums are something I really love. But since we were very short on time, we had to keep moving quickly, only pausing to let the camera capture some of the highlights. And we saw some ancient weapons, sculptures, metal containers, and even some striking paintings. Honestly, there was so much to see and read, but with such little time, we could only skim through. Still, it was worth to get at least a glimpse of what the museum had to offer. This was how burial looked like in a stone chamber back in the days. The Central Museum of Almaty is one of the largest and most significant museums, not just in Kazakhstan, but the whole of Central Asia. The moment you step into this central hall, you are struck by how massive and beautifully designed it is. Right in the middle, there is a huge map of Kazakhstan with all the important places marked out. A perfect introduction to the journey you are about to take inside. And the museum has 2 more floors above this level, each one packed with exhibits that are thoughtfully curated and spread across different sections. Together, all of these give you a deeper sense of the country's heritage, culture, and evolution. We decided to start by taking the right, where you will find some fascinating life-size figurines. These mainly represent the different locals and nomadic people from centuries past, offering a glimpse into their attire, lifestyle, and presence. And among this, one of the most iconic figures is none other than the Golden Man. The Golden Man refers to the remains of a young Saka or Scythian warrior or prince dating back to the 4th to 5th century BC, discovered in 1969 in the Issyk burial mound near Almaty. What makes this discovery so extraordinary is that the figure was buried in a suit made of more than 4,000 gold pieces, plates, jewelries, intricate ornaments, topped off with striking tall headdress decorated with gold motifs of animal and birds. And it's not just an archaeological treasure, it's a national symbol. The Golden Man has now become a representation of Kazakhstan identity. Still, it's incredible to think how richly adorned and symbolically powerful these burials were, reflecting the artistry and the beliefs of the nomadic Saka people. We are now going to the first floor and let's see what there is. So this first floor is very interesting place to start exploring. Here you will find different antiques like sculptures, then we saw some stamps, and there is also one unique thing over here, which is the typewriter. The old typewriter with their heavy keys and sturdy build feel almost like relics from another world, reminding you of how letters, official documents, and stories once came to life. Now we are going to the topmost floor of the museum. And the vibe once again changes. This section is filled with photographs, and honestly, it feels more like walking into a living memory book of Kazakhstan. Each photo is capturing moments, faces, and stories that shaped the country. Some of them are portraits of everyday people, workers, families, students, and while others show important historical events, leaders, and milestones. You can see the expressions, the struggles, the celebration, all frozen in time through photographs. And we have one more exhibit which shifts from ancient times to recent history and milestones. You will find entire sections dedicated to political events showing how Kazakhstan transitioned through different phases from the Soviet era to becoming an independent nation. There are displays about its leaders, constitutions, and key moments in nation building. And what really stands out here is the variety. You get to see Kazakhstan pride across so many fields. Then there is part about space exploration, which is especially fascinating because Kazakhstan is the home to the Baikonur Cosmodrome, the legendary launch site for so many historic space missions. Seeing models and exhibits around this makes you realize how significant the country has been in the story of space travel. There are sections on the army and military history with uniforms, medals, photographs showing their strength and contributions. Walking through this floor feels different from the others. Here it is less about artifacts of the distant past and more about the spirit of a young, independent nation carving out its place in the world. We are now in the ethnography section of the museum. Right at the beginning, you are greeted by displays of weapons, swords, knives, spears, and even pieces of armor. It's amazing to see the craftsmanship and the strength of these tools people used centuries ago. Moving along, something really thoughtful caught my eye. A book in Braille. I love this detail because it means that even people who are visually impaired can come here and still connect with the museum's fascinating collection. It shows how inclusive this place is. And then we came across these miniature models that depict what everyday life used to look like back in the day. Alongside, there are displays of actual gadgets and tools that people used, things for grinding, straining, cutting. One section that really stood out is dedicated to handmade carpets and jewelries. These carpets are just stunning, rich patterns, vivid colors, and unbelievable level of detail. And then there's the jewelry section, elaborate pieces that were worn by both men and women. Heavy silver, intricate designs, and each piece just glowing with craftsmanship. And you can almost picture how majestic people might have looked just wearing them. And of course, you cannot miss the musical instruments. These are domburas on displays, the iconic string instruments of Kazakhstan. And if you have walked the streets here, you have probably heard its tune from local performers. But the showstopper of the section right in the center is a life-sized yurt. This is the traditional home of the nomadic Kazakh people. Inside, they have created the entire setup. You will see beds, seating areas, storage chests, everything that made a yurt not just a shelter but a home. And if you have watched my earlier videos, you would have already seen them in the videos from yesterday when we visited the Lakeside Canyon, and there were like life-size yurts we could see everywhere where tourists can even stay. And finally, to wrap it all up, the section showcasing the elaborate dresses of the royals and nobility. This part feels like stepping into a royal wardrobe. The fabrics, the embroidery, the colors, it's just breathtaking. Especially the women's dresses, they were so beautifully crafted that you can imagine how regal and elegant they might have looked. And that brings us to the end of the ethnography section. By now, our time was almost up, so we had to make our way out. But truly, everything in this museum is worth spending time. Like, you should have one full day, just to explore all these places if you are really interested in the history of Kazakhstan. And now we are out of the museum, and look at this. Right in front of us is this beautiful garden. Almost every iconic place in Kazakhstan has a garden like this, and this one is no exception. Just look at these flowers. The lavender blooms especially are adding such a charm to the whole place. And there's a huge park around here where you can walk or just sit and relax. And now it's around 6:30 p.m. We have been sitting here for almost half an hour just soaking in the atmosphere and the views. And then came the big question, what next? So we still had plenty of time left in the day, so after checking our energy level whether we are still good to go, we decided that we will go to Koktobe. Now here is the catch, or two catch rather. One, we didn't have any jacket or any warm clothes with us, and Almaty in evening gets really cold. And two, the problem was the cab prices right from outside the museum from this place was insanely high. So we decided that we will walk for about 5-6 minutes to a little corner of this particular stretch of road, and then we'll try booking the cab again. And honestly, with the streets this pretty and the roads these kind of seamless, as I have mentioned so many times in my earlier videos, walking in Almaty is the most amazing thing that one can do. And look at this street. On my right hand side, the walls are designed to look like stacks of book with fun quotes and comments written on them. It's so creative, it's so colorful also. It feels less like a random walk and more like part of the experience. And soon we reach the junction where some big buildings are around. This part really feels like a prime part of the city, and from here we finally managed to book a cab at reasonable rate. And now we are at the Koktobe entrance. This is where you can get your ticket. So here's the thing, there are a couple of ways by which you can go to the Koktobe, the top of the Koktobe. You can see there is a price list right outside the entrance as well, and inside also you can find the prices listed at the counter, so you can decide based on your budget. So the ticket costs are pretty pricey, and there are two ways you can reach the top. One is you can take a bus, either one way or both ways, and the more conventional way which most of the tourists do is taking the cable car all the way to the top. So again, there's an option, you can take a one way or a two way. The cable car prices are pretty steep, so we decided that we will do only while going up, and then we will see based on when we want to come down. We can get a ticket from there for the cable car, or we may take the bus while coming back. So we will decide after reaching there. Now we have got the tickets and we are in the queue watching people pile into their cable cars one after the another. And finally, I think our cable car is coming. This is the blue one, is going to be our cable car. And here we go. And now that the ride has started, the city is opening up beneath us. The sun was beginning to set, painting the skyline in golden light. And Koktobe is known primarily as a sunset point, and I could already see why. Like, it's the perfect time to be here. So some of the comments that you will see about this place is that, like, it is not worth paying so much of money just to be there in Koktobe because there is nothing to see. That is what I have been hearing a lot. But I still thought that why not, let's go there, because we have anyway nothing to do, better than sitting inside the home and just being there. So we thought that we will just check it out, let's see what happens. At least we will get the views, right? This is the bird's eye view of Almaty, and the mountains in the distance and the soft glow of the sunset in the background. So everything is looking pretty stunning so far. And can you see that ramp over there? That's the fast coaster, one of the big thrill rides here at Koktobe. You sit in this little cart, either solo or with two people, and it zips all the way down from the top of Koktobe to the bottom, as you can see, and then it again brings you back up to the top. So it's definitely on the expensive side, but if you are someone who loves adventure and speed, this is one experience you might want to try out. It really looks like a lot of fun. And now here we are, arriving at the top station of Koktobe. We are almost there. And now we have reached. Let's see what this place is all about. Is it really worth the hype? So the first thing that I can notice here as we step out is this giant Ferris wheel. It looks pretty iconic, colorful. Although right now it's not operating, I think. And on the left, I can see some quirky thing, an inverted house with an upside down car and furniture. So in the US, I have seen similar ones where you pay to go inside and see some of the things, but I'm not sure if it is the same here in Almaty. Still, it adds a really fun vibe to this place. Walking a bit further, I can spot a merry-go-round over there. Now, this one is buzzing with life. It's moving in different directions and speed, I can see. And honestly, this feels so carnival-like up here. It's like a complete fun environment. Fun, people are having so much fun. Kids are laughing, shouting, having the time of their lives. It immediately gives you that fairground kind of an energy. So this place is really cool. But from the first look itself, Koktove is looking very lively, colorful, and super family friendly, I can say. In the front, you can see the queue for the fast coaster, and on the left, you can see the most beautiful deck from where you can see the most stunning sunset in Almaty. Look how beautiful the sunset is. It's for this reason that, it's recommended to come to Koktove at this time of the day. We walked around a bit in this part, and then suddenly there it was, the TV tower. This is probably one of the most iconic things about Koktove. It's like the symbol of this place, instantly recognizable and standing tall in the backdrop. Seeing it from here gives you that yes, we are at Koktove kind of a feeling. And it was starting to get a little chillier in this area, so we decided to move back on the top level. We passed many of these upscale restaurants, so there are many of such restaurants spread across Koktove. And I realized that this place really has options for every mood. Like you can splurge if you want a fine dining experience, or just grab something light. And soon we found ourselves back in the area where the Ferris wheel was, and from here we decided to explore the other side of the Koktove. So this part is very photogenic. You can actually see people everywhere taking photos, and no surprise, because there are so many things to take photos against, like this giant installation, this massive ring sculpture that honestly reminded me of something out of the Arabian Nights. And with the mountains in the backdrop, it looks straight out of a postcard. One thing that I kept noticing here is how many locals were around. I actually love this part of Almaty's culture, that instead of rushing home after work or spending evenings glued to their phones, people here are bringing their families to places like this to stroll, to laugh, to eat together, to relax together. So it feels like such a wholesome family time, and you see it everywhere throughout the city. By this point, I was getting really thirsty. So even though the air was pretty cold, I grabbed a Fanta from one of the kiosks. It tasted a little different from one we get back at home, but it was fun to try. And yes, while the food and drinks here are generally on the pricier side, which is expected in an amusement park like this, you don't always need to spend a lot. There are also smaller snack stalls and fast food joints scattered all around. Now we came across this map of Koktove, and looking at it, I realized how huge this place really is. So there are many sections like exhibits, small zoo, souvenir shop, different installations across the grounds. And since we didn't want to cover every single corner, we just were thinking of just covering a few of them. And then as we were going around this park, we saw this cool installation, the Beatles statues. Yes, right here in Almaty on Koktove Hill, there's a little corner dedicated to this legendary band. From here, we kept walking, passing different activities, many of which were paid. So we skipped them this time, but honestly, if you are with kids, this place is a paradise. Everywhere you look, there's something to keep them entertained, from rides to quirky installations. And finally, we made to the small zoo. And while it's not very big, it was definitely interesting. We saw a white peacock and a traditional blue peacock, which was absolutely stunning. Then there was this deer and a few other animals, giving this part a calm and curious vibe. Especially the kids were liking this a lot. At the end of the zoo walk, once again the TV tower came into our view. Towering and majestic against the evening sky, it felt like a full circle moment, ending with the very icon that defines Koktove. And we kept walking in this direction. Already the sun had set and the evening was looking so beautiful. We could see the city lights below, and that looked even more surreal. So we stood there for some time enjoying the evening view. We found ourselves standing on the set of stairs that overlooked the entire panoramic view of Almaty, which stretched out in the distance and looked breathtaking. Post sunset, the whole place has suddenly transformed into this magical glow, beautifully lit up with warm lights, almost like the entire hilltop has slipped into a festive mood. The rides, the pathways, and the little restaurants, everything sparkled in soft golden light, making the atmosphere feel even more lively and enchanting. It doesn't really look like it, but right now the time is 8:20 p.m. and it's starting to get quite cold up here, so we decided to head back to our Airbnb. And now we are at the ticket counter for the shuttle bus. So this bus is going to take us down, though honestly I couldn't understand exactly till which point they are supposed to drop us. They mentioned something, but it wasn't very clear. Anyway, our plan is simple. Wherever the bus drops us, we will just grab a cab from there. So we have got our tickets and the buses here. From what I can tell, the bus runs every 10 to 15 minutes since there's only a single shuttle going up and down. It takes some time for one round trip, so just keep that in mind if you're planning to visit. There will be a short wait. So now we are in the bus and the bus has started. For Koktobé, I would say that if you don't mind spending a bit of money, it's actually a nice place to spend your sunset hours, walking around, soaking in the vibe, maybe trying out some rides or just enjoying the carnival-like atmosphere. It's lively, colorful, and has that family time kind of an energy. But at the same time, if you have a packed itinerary within the city, then you can skip this easily. Still, I would say the views, the vibe, and the atmosphere do make it worth considering if you are looking for a relaxed evening spot. In some ways, I actually like the place. There was a bit of confusion after the bus dropped us here. We thought that we had figured this out, so we started walking down one path for about 2-3 minutes, only to realize that it was a dead end. So we had to backtrack and return to the same bus stop again. But part of the challenge here is that people don't really speak English, so it gets a little tricky asking directions. Luckily, we managed to find someone who pointed us towards the right spot for getting a cab. The only thing is, I see plenty of private cars and shuttle moving around this area, but I'm not sure if the taxis would actually come easily. Meanwhile, I thought I would show you this. Just look at the TV tower right now. It's lit up in gorgeous light show, glowing against the night sky, and it looks absolutely fantastic. As I mentioned earlier, the cab pickup point was a little deserted and I wasn't sure if I would be able to get a cab easily. But to my surprise, just within 2 to 3 minutes of waiting, a cab came right up to us. And that's really the beauty of Almaty. No matter how remote the spot is, no matter what time of the day it is, you can always find the Yandex taxi. And the prices may fluctuate depending on the demand, but one thing for certain, you will get a car. That sense of reliability adds so much to the feeling of safety in this city, especially for solo travelers, women travelers, young travelers exploring on their own. It really makes moving around here stress-free at any hour of the day. Now we are back on our way and just look at this part of the city. It's sparkling with lights, tall, posh, state-of-the-art buildings shining against the night sky. This side of Almaty honestly looks like any other modern city in the world, and it's so beautiful to see this contrast between history, culture, and modernity coming together in one place. And now we are finally back in our neighborhood, and my mom wanted to buy some cherries, so we just came to this little fruit shop across the street from our Airbnb.
250 gram, can you give?
So this is the same shop we had come the day before yesterday, and since we like the fruits here, we thought we will try our luck with cherries again. If we like them, probably we will buy in bulk. And now we are finally back in our Airbnb, all freshened up after that long day. It's about 9:50 p.m. right now and we are just settling down for dinner. Tonight the table looks extra special because we have got a lot of food. Most of it we have been cooking over the past couple of days. Let me quickly tell you what's on our menu tonight. So we have this delicious chicken curry that we cooked in the morning, a bowl of dal, some crispy aloo piyaj kuli bhaja that we had made the day before. Then we have steamed rice, fresh salad, and some pumpkin fry. With this, I'll be ending the episode here. Hope you enjoyed today, and if you like this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I'll be back with the next episode very soon.